Hello, 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 hello. I am back on the West Ham Network. Apologies for the delay there, guys. I always have issues with starting the StreamYard streams that we go through here. But it's good to be back. How's everyone doing? It's been a few weeks since I had a show. Last week I was in Leverkusen on Wednesday, so I couldn't actually do the 9 o'clock show. And I've had a busy week. I've been in the process of moving. I'm actually living in Stratford now. So if I was to actually show you the view outside my window, I can see the stadium from where I am sitting. But yeah, apologies. I'm sitting on the edge of my bed at the moment because I haven't really sorted out the whole setup and everything yet. But wanted to come on and do a show and obviously talk about the big game that we have tomorrow. Wow, what a game, eh? Did anyone watch the game last week? Obviously, I'm assuming everyone did. What was everyone's thoughts? In the stadium, I was blown away with our performance. I thought we did really well for, the best part of 80 minutes, really. And it was just such a heartbreaking end to the game. I was fortunate enough to be out there with the club, doing some work, doing some presenting across their socials. So you might have seen my mug on the Instagram. Did an interview with Mavropanos and just bits and pieces that went out on social media before the game, and did a live stream on the side of the pitch. So I lived the fans' dream. It was an absolute dream to be out there. It was just a shame how the game went. But more on the game. Yeah, it was difficult. I thought West Ham came out with a game plan, and that was to just kind of shut down Leverkusen at every kind of opportunity, not let them play, get men behind the ball, defending blocks. And to be honest, to David Moyes, it did the job for a long period of the game. I must say, though, Leverkusen didn't look at their best, but they were still one of the best teams I've ever seen live. Obviously, they went on to the weekend and scored 5-1 and ended up winning the league. What I would say is the player of the match for me last week was Florian Wirtz. He looks like an unreal talent. What a player Leverkusen have on their hands. Obviously, then scored a hat-trick on the weekend. He's 20 years old, man. Like the guy is going to go right to the very top if he's not there already. Imagine being 20 years old, playing for your boyhood club. You scored a hat-trick on the title-winning day. And obviously last weekend, I think in the first half, he created 5 chances alone. So he had a really strong game. And yeah, I must admit, I'm usually quite an optimistic West Ham fan. I always look at, I always feel quite, I'm filled with optimism whenever it comes to West Ham. I think we can beat anyone on our day. I just think tomorrow's going to be such a tough task. I think we're going into this game with a lot of missing players. Obviously, we've got Paquetá and Emerson that are going to be out of this game. And then we've got a host of other injuries, of course. Obviously, Bowen's been missing. We don't know if he's going to be back or not. It's looking unlikely. Who knows, though? And obviously, Areola and then a host of other players as well. So it's going to be really difficult. Let's talk a little bit about the game last week, though, of course. Yeah, I want to shout out Mikel Antonio. I thought Mikel Antonio played that role incredibly. And he's often the scapegoat for a lot of issues whenever we are struggling. And I think, since he's been back in the side, he's been performing at a high level. He's doing exactly what we need from him. So you can only hope that we go into this game tomorrow with kind of some sort of game plan of actually trying to score early doors, because otherwise I think the game's very much over. I can see some of you guys in the chat, of course. So Steve coming in with evening all. Good while it lasted. Time to regroup, rebuild, and get back to the next level ASAP. Barry says, hi, Jamie. Hope you're all good, mate. Thanks, Barry. Hope you're well as well, mate. Usual suspect, will Bowen play? That's the golden question, my friend. Jimmy, full of optimism. That's what we like to see on a Wednesday evening. 3-0 went to London Stadium. We'll beat, it'll be, if they beat us tomorrow, it'll be 45 games unbeaten. That is a tough task for any team to do in a top flight kind of division. So fair play to Leverkusen. I think we're all kind of, in any other scenario, we'd all be kind of gunning for Leverkusen. Obviously, they've gone on to win the Bundesliga. They've dethroned Bayern Munich after 10 years. It's always good to see the underdog kind of win something. And obviously, they were coined Leverkusen in the Bundesliga, and in Germany in general. So it's good to see them win. And it's a shame that we've come up against them this year when they are just arguably one of the toughest away days in Europe. Yeah, up, two down. Thanks for being in here, mate. Please hit the like button. Absolutely, mate. If you can all spam your likes in the chat, get all your questions in here, guys, because I do want to build up the game for tomorrow. Evening, people. Come on, you irons. Lovely from Fremmer007. Let's just get a few questions in here. Okay, so all right, here we go. So let's get that across the bottom for now. That is my social, guys. I haven't been on it in a few weeks. As I said, apologies. I've been in the middle of a move. But let's get some questions in here then, guys. Let's get some score predictions for tomorrow. Score predictions for tomorrow's game. All right, here we go. So I want to know, guys, I'll give you a few moments. I'm going to take a sip of drink. I want to know your score predictions for tomorrow's games, and are you going to the game? I've been doing these shows for a little while now, and I've had quite a few of you come up to me at games now. It's always quite disorientating when you come up, but it's always nice to see people that are listening and come up to me and say hi during the game. So if you do see me at the game tomorrow, I will be there. Come say hello. I'll, and let's talk some football. I'm always down to talk a bit of West Ham. But I'll start off with the predictions. If anyone else wants to spam those in the chat, let's do it. Do you know what? As I said, I'm struggling. I am normally optimistic. And I went into last week's game thinking we'd win. I know naively, but I thought we'd get a draw at least. And when we hit that 80th minute and it was 0-0, I thought we were going to get out of Leverkusen with a 0-0 draw. And it just wasn't meant to be. They were knocking on the door for those 80 minutes, let's be fair. And unfortunately, just the floodgates opened at that point. And it was just unfortunate, the 2 goals that we scored. Saw a lot of people digging out some of the players for like making mistakes in the final moments and stuff like that. But, we performed so admirably for so long. And we were under the cosh for those 80 minutes. And we defended kind of as well as we could. Leverkusen are just another level this year. They've got multiple players that they don't stay at Leverkusen. They will go on to bigger clubs and win many more trophies, no doubt, including their manager, of course. So I think the days are gone now when we can expect maybe a Xabi Alonso at West Ham at some point, but is hoping, who knows. Score predictions in the chat then, guys. So for tomorrow's game, I am going to go with a 1-1 draw. And that's an optimistic one. I really do. I want to say we'll win, and I think like we can win, but after watching the performance that Leverkusen put in last week and the fact that their players are going to be buoyed on by the fact that they can go the entire season unbeaten, I just think it's such a tough ask to beat, and for the romance of football, it would be quite nice to see a team go actually unbeaten, and like, do I want to see us end that? Obviously, yeah, I'd love to see us go win the Europa League, but I don't know. I don't know if we are the team that's going to break the streak, so to speak. I'll go with a 1-1 draw for me. And I would have said on another day, I would have said we would have had a chance if we had all of our players. But I think to go into this game, we know our win percentage kind of when Lucas Paquetá isn't in the side, and to be going into this game without potentially having Paquetá. Well, we're not going to have Paquetá. I'm not going to have Emerson. They're both banned through suspensions. Bowen's a question mark. We're looking at arguably our 3 most important players this year, outside of Kudus, really. And Emerson's obviously been electric on the left-hand side for us. So from an attacking perspective, our danger men are potentially not going to be playing. So to see us getting anything out of this game is such a tall task, Toby said it best here, mate. Like, we've got no left-hand side. I'm trying, I really am, but we're worlds apart at the moment. There's always that 1 in a million chance. Do you know what? I think we've got better odds than that, Toby. I really do, mate. And I know it's just a turn of phrase like 1 in a million, but I do. Barry, mate, I love it. I absolutely love it. Coming in here with 3-0. Right, Barry, tell me then, mate. So what's your starting lineup then? I want to let me know your starting lineups in the chat, guys. It's always Yeah, here we go, Steve. What Toby said, except the 1 in a million bit. We do have Cornet there, just never gets played. Yeah, you're not wrong, Barry, mate. I just think I don't know. It's just that he hasn't shown it in a West Ham shirt. I'm not one to necessarily dig out the players, and I don't think Cornet is that deserving of it in terms of getting, slagged off, so to speak, because he's been incredibly unfortunate with injuries whilst he's been at West Ham, and he's also had players in front of him that have just been in rocket form, kind of thing, and even playing like Paquetá out of position, we all kind of had question marks over that at the early stages of the season, and then it started working every week. So it's one of them ones. 3-1, go on West Ham if we counter with Bowen. Oh, that would go to extra time, wouldn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If we win 3-1, does that not say we go through because there's no away goal rule, away goal rules now, is there? So would that be because we scored more home goals? No, surely not. It would be going to extra time, wouldn't it? 2-1 West Ham. I mean, they've got the league now, mate. Do you know what I mean? They've got it now. They don't need the unbeaten streak. Surely we can win. Head says 2-1 to Leverkusen. Heart says 2-0 West Ham. We go for on pens. Nice one, Barry. Right. Fabs, Sufel, Zuma, Agerd, Scales. Holy Scales. James Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, Suchek, Kudus, Cornet, Antonio. Fair play, Barry, mate. If we win 3-0 with that side, mate, then I owe you a pint. Absolutely. So if you are going to the game, find me and I'll buy you a pint, mate. Toga Brendan. It's going to penalties. First one to win against them then. Absolutely nil. Like I say, mate. It's a difficult one. I am intrigued though. If anyone in the chat does know, if we was to win the game 3-1, does it go to extra time? It must do, because obviously they won 2-0. The away goals rule no longer stands. So I don't actually know what happens. I think it would go to extra time and it would just be as normal because it would be 3-3 on aggregate after 2 games. Toby coming in with his lineup. It would be Cresswell, Zuma, Mavs if fit, Johnson, Alvarez, and Soucek, Kudus, Bowen, JWP in the middle, and Antonio up top. It's a strong lineup, mate. I would love to be going to the football, mate. I've got 10 kids. That's a rare opportunity. Mate, you've been busy. Fair play, mate. Fair play. Well, wherever you are watching the game, mate, I hope you enjoy it. They don't feel hungover. Even Joey was 40 minutes late and they're still hungover. This is what I mean, mate. It could be tactical genius from David Moyes. Now, stay with me here, guys. Stay with me on this one. Here's what I'm thinking. David Moyes has gone to Leverkusen last week and said, you know what, boys, we'll let them have this one. We'll let them beat us 2-0. We'll give them a false sense of security. So they go into the weekend full of confidence so they can go win the Bundesliga, okay? That happens. They win the Bundesliga. They've been out celebrating all day. They're probably still out now. And I'm hoping that half of them are going straight from the nightclub to the airport to fly over to England. That's what I'm hoping, anyway. And then hopefully they'll come to the London Stadium, a bit worse for wear, fingers crossed, and David Moyes can trounce them 5-0. That's what I think he's probably gone for. So if that happens tomorrow, you heard it here first. There is extra time, which isn't really fair on whoever plays second. Ollie Skulls is injured. Fucking hell, Baz. Indeed, Toby, mate. He's been busy. Extra time then pens, no away goals anymore. That's what I thought, mate. So surely it would be extra time, yeah. I'll be at home with my Arsenal missus and the kids, but I got 6 West Ham out of the 10. Come on, Barry. You got the majority, mate. You got the majority. I'll tell you what, mate. If you buy them a kit, that must be expensive Christmas. I'll tell you that for free. Jeez. Yeah, well done, mate. Like, can we have a round of applause for Barry in the chat? By the way, 10 kids, and he's got 6 of them with West Ham fans. Are they all? Are the rest of them Arsenal? It must have been a fractured household when Declan Rice left in the summer. That's all I'll say. Didn't you have a telly during lockdown? 10 kids. Wow. I think he was doing that in bed, Toby. You know, Barry, they invented this thing. You can put it on. Just saying. Can't we just stick some makeup on Paquetá and send him out with Cornet's shirt on? We could. I mean, yeah, why not? Um, Tremor, love it. Nice one, Brendan. The girls are mate mummy's minions, mate. I tell you what. So, if they were all Arsenal, are they not Arsenal then? No. Unbelievable, unbelievable. All right, don't do. What's this chat turning into, by the way? Make me building up the game. Barry, mate, he don't do Johnnies. He don't do Johnnies. That's why he's got 10 kids, ladies and gentlemen. 10 kids. Fair play, mate. You've been keeping busy. You could start, mate. I tell you what, stick yourself in goal. You've got to start in 11 there, mate. That's, do you know what I mean? Future West Ham side, maybe. Definitely with the six of them, you've definitely got, maybe a front line and a midfield. Easy. Four oldest girls are Arsenal. Barry, I'd be scared to have one kid. One of my best friends is a gooner. It's been rough listening to him. For sure. I mean, we all, elephant in the room, obviously, is like, I think the one thing that the Declan Rice move has, and like, I haven't really spoken too much about Declan Rice since having the show, guys. But I think obviously we're all seeing Declan Rice perform at, top levels. Weekend result aside, that freak result Arsenal had, they've been probably the best team in the league this year. And Declan Rice has been a huge part of that. And I think the one thing that is kind of a saving grace for West Ham fans, other than the fact that we got astronomical money for him, I think it's the fact that maybe now when West Ham fans talk about a player that they've got on their hands and they say he's world class, or they say he's an incredible player, maybe some other teams will start paying attention now, Yeah. All right. If we get the win, we'll be first to beat them and knock out. Yeah, we would, mate. We really would. It's going to be difficult, though. It really is. Barry, mate, I actually want to know this. What did you say when the missus said she was over number 10? How do you react in that moment? Is it just like, come on, what's going on? But yeah, guys, I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic tomorrow. But it's a tough game. And to not have our best players, it's hard to come on here and say we're going to definitely win, we're going to definitely lose, or whatever. It's just going to be an incredibly difficult game to play in. That's all I'll say. So hopefully we can get some sort of result from it. We just got to keep our fingers crossed, I suppose, and hope that players like Darragh Bowen are actually available for the game, because I think he had a nasty injury at some point. Yeah, guys. Yeah. So other than obviously looking at the result on the weekend wasn't great. I must admit, I wasn't actually at the game. I was off filming a show, ironically in Arsenal, but so I missed the game. Unfortunately, couldn't get there. But from watching the highlights, it wasn't like a good watch, annoyingly. So I just hope our season doesn't fall down. It very much feels like the season's almost over if we do get knocked out of this game tomorrow, and that'll be kind of demoralising. There's still like 6 games left of the season, and there's still kind of like a Conference League, maybe a Europa League place to hopefully play for. I think with the top 5 potentially getting Champions League football this year, I believe go down to 8th for teams to get Europe, and I think West Ham should be comfortably within that bracket if we can pick up a few good results before then. Right, here we go. I have to beat Palace. That is a must. Yeah. Well, Palace picked up a huge result on the weekend. Obviously beat Liverpool. Shock result. No one was expecting that. I suppose if you had money on that game, you're in the money there, obviously. But other than that, like, no one was expecting Crystal Palace to beat Liverpool, and they're in a position now where they kind of need to pick up points. We're even the lower teams now are the lower teams are kind of all fighting for their lives, and they need to kind of all pick up points to make sure they're safe from relegation and whatnot. So it's an interesting one. I think every game is kind of must win for most teams right now, unless you're probably in the bottom three, and even then, like they're fighting for their lives. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, all right, let's bring it back to Barry. Imagine how many grandkids they'll have. Bloody hell. Yeah, to be fair, mate, unbelievable. Oh, Arsenal one down. That is what I like to see. Bayern Munich are beating Arsenal. Oh, sorry, Arsenal fans. It's a shame that, mate. City are 1-0 down two. Yeah, yeah. Imagine that fight. Like, I mean, just talking about, obviously, this isn't West Ham related, but just looking at these Champions League games in general, I don't think I've seen a quarter final this good in years. Even the games last night. There's something criminal about having two high quality games on like that, both on at the same time. And even tonight, really, everyone wants to watch the City game or and the Madrid game, but everyone wants to watch Bayern Munich and Arsenal as well. They both start at the same time, both kick off the same time. It's just, yeah, shocking, shocking. Um, right, with Arsenal and City losing, us and Liverpool out too, this may mean England miss out on extra European spots, so may need to finish seventh against Europe, sort of Europe. So yeah, it's shocking to be honest with you, mate. Um, yeah, it's not gone well tonight. We actually kind of need Arsenal and Man City to turn it around in a way because otherwise we've got no hope. And I think I wouldn't be against us getting a Europa Conference League over a Europa League. Um, I think we're quite unfortunate with the Europa League this year. I mean, obviously it was in our hands a couple of years ago, but you look at the quality of the teams that were in that tournament a couple of years ago, and I know people will say that Borussia Dortmund and Barcelona were in it. They just got knocked out by, I believe, Frankfurt knocked Barcelona out, and I think Rangers knocked out Borussia Dortmund. So there was lots of big sides. They just got knocked out in the tournament. But you look at the quality of the sides in the tournament this year. It's probably like six sides who, if they win the tournament, you wouldn't be surprised. When you've got like Liverpool, Liverpool's who are in there, who got beaten 3-0 by Atalanta, by the way. Roma, Milan, Bayer Leverkusen, unbeaten team like West Ham just won the tournament last year. Like there's kind of we're probably if we were going to rank those sides in terms of quality on the pitch, we're probably sixth in that list. And even then, below us, you've probably got Marseille, who aren't any mugs when it comes to European football. So you've got the quality of the tournament this year. And compare that to where it was a couple of years ago. It's crazy because the final was Frankfurt and Rangers, and just unfortunately we fell down at the last hurdle in the semis. So it's definitely a shame. I wouldn't be against us dropping down to the Conference League again and maybe going again and seeing if we can win that tournament because there was something genuinely special about seeing that last year. Um, you know, being in Prague, seeing West Ham win a trophy was incredible. And if I'm honest, there's something like, and it's for anyone my age. Obviously, I'm 31, so for anyone my age, it's kind of like a new experience in a way where it's like I'd never had it before, really, where we had like kind of sustained periods in Europe, and we've had it really for the last 3 years. David Moyes has obviously brought back to back European qualifications, and I'm not ready for Thursday night football games to go yet. They're quite frankly my favorite my favorite games to go to. I love an evening game, so I would love us to get European football next year, and hopefully we can get that. But yeah, it's not a bad point there, mate. Not a bad point at all. Yeah, squad depth is definitely looking to. Well, it's looking an issue right now. I mean, to be honest with you, like going into this game tomorrow, I mean, it's not necessarily injuries that have held us back. It's more suspensions because we all wanted Jared Bowen to play last week, but it was just unfortunate that he got pulled up with an injury a few days before. Lucas Paquetá obviously got booked. Emerson got booked. Both quite cheap bookings, unfortunately. But I wouldn't say it was necessarily our squad depth that was our comeuppance or anything. A couple of years ago, it was a different kettle of fish because we went into that Frankfurt game with a very much depleted squad. We were playing players out of position and whatnot, and unfortunately, it just didn't quite work out for us on that occasion. If we drop out of Europe, it would be great to have a proper domestic cup run. A Wembley final would do. Absolutely. Interesting thought. I'm only a couple of years older than you, Jamie, and for me, the West Ham way is something I know and understand, but can't remember ever seeing much of. Is it an age thing? Well, I mean, you're right, Toby, mate. I mean, there's an entire generation of West Ham fans. Like, what you got to realise is obviously we've been at the Olympic Stadium for like 10 years now. So there's an entire generation of West Ham fans that don't even know Upton Park, let alone the West Ham way. When you want to talk about the West Ham way, you have to go back to like the 80s, you know? And we're talking about sides that had like, you know, your Devonshires and your Trevor Brookens and whatnot. So I've always kind of like, you know, like you think about your Tony Cottis and your Frank McAvennies, you know, the legends of the football club, these players that were kind of like almost fabled and mythical in a way because they're before our time. It's strange. I was fortunate enough to interview Trevor Brooking last year, and before doing so, I did a bunch of research because, you know, naturally when we all kind of watch football nowadays, obviously, like we kind of just pick up. We're all fans. We all know about the team. If I was to go interview a player tomorrow from the current team, I wouldn't have to do much research because I know the players like we all do. But I never got the chance to see a Trevor Brooking or anyone like that because it was just before my time. The earliest West Ham memories that I have are really like Harry Redknapp's sides, you know, and even then it was kind of like I was just getting into football. I was born in 1992, you know, the FA Cup, we won it in 1980. So the West Ham way is something that's always kind of been branded about for me, and obviously it's always like associated with like, you know, our Upton Park and all sorts of things like that. But it's something I've never seen. I quite frankly, I do a lot of shows on the internet and things like that. I talk about football in a lot of places, done some bits on Talksport and whatnot. And for me, I say it quite regularly. These are the glory years for me. You know, I've been going to West Ham games for as long as I can remember, 25 years, I would say. And these are the glory years. I've never had it as good as what it is now. I'm envious of, you know, like people like Neil in the chat who was 66 and would have seen those great sides, you know, like winning winning European Cups and FA Cups and whatnot, and seeing John Lyall like manage teams and all sorts of things like that, and you know the top players that we had. There we go. Like I was there for the FA Cup. Shout out to Neil, mate. Like I would have loved to see that, but for now, like I don't have that. You know, other than last 3 years, I have to really think about what are the glory years, like what are the glory moments. You know, you go back to what is it, 05-06, losing the FA Cup final. That was probably the highest kind of point as a West Ham fan. Or you've got the Vazte goal in the playoff final. Outside of them, like kind of, there's not really like a mini. We haven't really had too much to shout about. So it's an interesting one when it comes to the West Ham way because you never really know how to take it. There's been many managers like, you know, Sam Allardyce said it. It's like, what's the West Ham way? Getting beat every weekend. And it's like to an entire generation of West Ham fans, that is what the West Ham way is. But for an older generation, it's something completely different. All right, let's have a look. I completely agree, mate. With the exception of the 05-06 season and the 15-16 season, these past few years have been the best I can remember as a Hammer. Mate, Toby, I couldn't have said it better myself, mate. I mean, there's few... and again, this is quite depressing, but there's few high points when you think about your life as a West Ham fan, and few quality players, you know, that you can think of. But like when you think like Dimitri Payet, for example, in that 15-16 season, he wasn't only one of the best West Ham players ever, he was one of the best players in the world at the time. You know, and there was almost like a pride I got from watching him play for France and score opening goals of the Euros and whatnot that I've never really had elsewhere. And it's like, it's the first time in my life I've been able to say we've got a world-class player. I think I very much had that with Declan Rice as well. And I get it with Lucas Paquetá as well to an extent. Like when England played Brazil recently and Paquetá was probably the best player on the pitch, I got more pride from seeing that than I did watching any of the English players. So it's an interesting one, man. Like I think there's few high points as West Ham fans, if unfortunately, and when you hear things like the West Ham way, it's always it's always kind of like difficult to get on board with it because it's always things that are just before your time, you know. Obviously, we've got Ballon Dawson as well. Yeah, have we ever had a player nominated for a Ballon d'Or? Ballon Dawson, mate. Ballon Dawson is clues in the name. I've seen Dagenham at Wembley more times than West Ham, and I'm 62. Yeah, true, probably, mate. What have they been in, like Johnston Payne Trophy and stuff like that, or I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting one anyway. But guys, just to round up the show anyway, it's been good coming on here. I do this every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Usually go for about 30, 40 minutes or whatnot, just to talk to you all guys. So apologies, I haven't been around for a couple of weeks, but I'm very much back now, back in the UK, moved into the new place. So hopefully I'm good from here. If any of you do follow me on socials, watch out for a new show I am releasing this weekend. Very excited about that. Been working very hard on that. So yeah, top man. I appreciate that. Jamie, I never started West Ham for success and constant winning. Obviously, it was for the style. Well, mate, we're all West Ham fans. Absolutely. I don't think any West Ham fan really started watching football, watching West Ham for I don't think anyone started watching West Ham for the start of football unless you did watch those teams in the 80s. You know, if there's not many like fans around my age that have picked West Ham for the style of football. It just isn't. Like, I was born into being a West Ham fan, and I think that's what a lot of West Ham fans are nowadays. Cheers for watching, Toby. Appreciate it, mate. We was all playing at Wembley. Sorry that I was R2. No problem at all. Right, guys. As I said, so tomorrow, biggest game of the season. Absolutely. Can we bring it back? I bloody hope so. This episode has been obviously labelled Mission Impossible tomorrow night. But is it mission possible? Who knows? Who knows? That's the question. That's the question. And just to finish the show off, Toby, my uncle forced it on me. I had no interest in football at all, but he got me a season ticket in the Bobby Moore stand in '95. That was me fucked for life. Toby, mate, you've never forgiven your uncle since. Absolutely. And City have just equalised. Nice. All right, guys. As I said, this has been the wrap up. I am Jamie Talks on social. So if you do follow me, appreciate it. Come say hi. If you see me at games, say hello. I've been speaking to all of you guys at games regularly recently. So if any of you are going to games, come say hello, we'll have a beer or whatever, and let's talk some football. Appreciate you watching. I'll be back again next week on the West Ham Network at 9 p.m. And thank you for watching. Cheers.